In this age of new normal, online is not your only option. Because new normal means new learning modalities and new learning possibilities. Let Vibal make learning offline possible with Smart Class. Smart Class contains pre-made daily modules sequenced according to DepEd's budgeted teaching and learning calendar. Each module has a specific lesson duration and has day markers to guide parents and teachers in the asynchronous learning of learners. Inside the modules available in Smart Class, you will find the following elements. First, learning competencies are identified in the module openers. Kickstarters are available to test students' prior knowledge on the subject matter. This set of activities, found at the beginning of each lesson, may also serve as motivational activities. Parents of preschool to grade 2 students will also find notes to parents which contain tips and pointers on how they can guide their child while learning at home. Redefine your students' learning experience with the integration of augmented reality technology into images and illustrations available in Smart Class, making learning more interactive and exciting. At the end of each module, Long Quiz is also available to assess students' understanding of the lesson. Smart Class also features Wrap Up, a lesson ender activity that applies the constructivism theory of learning. In Wrap Up, students are expected to summarize the lesson on their own using a graphic organizer. You may also evaluate the quality of your students' learning by letting them practice their learning in real life through GRASP's formatted performance tasks. The content of Smart Class is designed for the entire academic year, and it is available for 5 major subjects. All aligned with DepEd's K-12 curriculum and covers the most essential learning competencies prescribed by DepEd. Secure your own copy of Smart Class before classes open. Contact marketing@vibalgroup.com to know more.
Good day, Kabibal, and welcome to our Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers Domain 1 Content, Knowledge, and Pedagogy webinar series. For the discussion this afternoon, our topic will be on research-based knowledge and principles of teaching and learning. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you're registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions in the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kabibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker for the day. Dr. Leonilo Basas Capulso is a multi-award winning Filipino master teacher, speaker, and researcher from Pampanga, Philippines. He is a senior high school master teacher at San Matias National High School, School Division Office of Pampanga Region 3 of the Department of Education in the Philippines with over 2 decades of teaching experience. Leonilo is a Dangal ng Bayan award-winning educator. The Dangal ng Bayan Award from the Philippines government is conferred to an individual for performance of the extraordinary act or public service and consistent demonstration of exemplary ethical behavior on the basis of adherence to the Code of Conducts and Ethical Standards for public officials and employees. He is also the recipient of Asian Achiever Award in 2019, Gawat Pat National Award in 2019, Outstanding Research Advocate of the Philippines Award in 2019, and the Most Outstanding Teacher Award in 2018. As a research advocate, it has been his advocacy to promote the culture of research by developing school-based research management in the region. He has initiated research capacity building for new researchers in the government and private schools. His network with other international organizations became a bridge in hosting international research conferences in Singapore, Bangkok, Philippines, and Vietnam. His love for less fortunate moved him to conduct studies and advocacies for community development in the depressed areas and initiated literary and faith program to select children of Macabebe, Pampanga, Philippines. As an educational leader, he has written contextualized curriculum modules for values education for junior high school and written assessment and evaluation tool for senior high school in Department of Education. He holds a bachelor degree in education, major in religious education, and master in religious studies, catechetics, and cum laude in Don Bosco Center of Studies, Parañaque City, an affiliate of Salesian Pontifical University, Rome, Italy. He took a Master of Arts in Education in De La Salle University, Das Marinas. He received two honorary doctorates in philosophy institutional in Brazil. He is preparing for his final defense on emerging model on promoting and enhancing research productivity in basic education for his doctor of philosophy and educational management at the University of Assumption, San Fernando, Pampanga. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Leonilo Capuzzo.
Thank you for again inviting me to be here with you for our discussion on Philippine professional standards for teachers. So particularly for this afternoon, we will be focusing on the first domain and the second strand as assigned to me. So once again, good afternoon mga kabibal, good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon, teachers. So despite of the many things we are supposed to accomplish, we are still here trying to equip ourselves with new knowledge. Thank you for Bibal Publication for always being there for us to guide us. So for this afternoon, this will be the outline of our sharing. First, we will try to review the purpose of PPST very briefly. And then we focus on discussing the research-based knowledge and its implication to the emerging educational paradigm. This is basically the strand 2 of the first domain of PPST. Third, we will try to explain the teaching and learning principles and its application to the new normal or the emerging educational paradigm. And towards the last part, let's try to reflect on the 21st century professional development skills that we need to acquire and to have as teachers during this new normal. This quotation is very familiar to us teachers, particularly in the Department of Education, from McKinsey, who said that the quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. So kung ang kagandahan, ang kalidad ng edukasyon na mayroon ang isang eskwelahan, ang isang institusyon, malaking bagay diyan ay ginagampanan ng mga guro. So here we really see the importance of investing quality teachers. That is why Bival Publication, the Division of Department of Education, the higher education, and these institutions, no, educational institutions are very generous in capacitating teachers to become quality teachers. And even the Secretary of the Department of Education. No, I got this from the post of the Assistant Superintendent of School Division of Bulacan, no? Ma'am Rowena Kiambao, about the message of the Secretary of Education who said, ang ginagawa ng mga teachers ay hindi masusukat sa pera. Ito ay ekspresyon ng pagmamahal. Totoo. Even though there are some imperfections as we try to deliver modules and educational system, yet we are always open to capacitate ourselves to provide quality education to our students. So what is now exactly PPST? So PPST stands for Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. And this was adopted in DepEd Order number 42 series of 2017 by the Department of education. So very briefly, PPST is a public statement of what teachers need to know, to value, and to be able to do in their practice. So, hindi madali maging guro, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ng pandemya. And the Department of Education and other educational institutions are trying to see to it that teachers know and value and practice the quality of education that they're supposed to impart to their students. PPST has 4 career stages. So it is actually a progression. So these stages are beginning teachers, proficient teachers, highly proficient teachers, and distinguished teachers. At the moment, yours truly is now on a highly proficient teacher that focuses on mentoring colleagues, on trying to maintain quality education and providing relevant education to our learners. So PPST is built on the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards. So not all can teach. No? And there are also standards being followed to see to it that teachers are able to deliver what is expected of them, particularly on the competency that is expected from teachers this time of pandemic. Of course, on the technical side, there might be glitches. Along the way, there were some sprints, but the Department of Education also and other institutions have made some mechanism to correct so that everyone will help each other to see to it that we're giving the correct quality and responsive education. It comprises 7 domains and 37 strands with 37 indicators for its career stages. So that is why for today, we are on the first domain, second strand of the first domain. So that's where we are going to discuss. So why is there PPST? So PPST is set to clear expectation of teachers along well-defined career stages of professional development from beginning to distinguished practices. Para alam natin ano bang pagkakaiba ng mga baguhang guro pa lang doon sa mga matagal na sa serbisyo. Ano yung pwedeng maitulong ng mga matagal na sa serbisyo sa mga bagong guro? And what are expectations from all these career stages? So, PPST engaged teachers to actively embrace ang continuing efforts in attaining proficiency. So as we embrace the new normal, the emerging paradigm of education, PPST also ensures that teachers continue to embrace themselves with mechanism so that they will be able to become responsive teachers. Apply a uniform measure to assess teachers' performance, identify needs, and provide support for professional development. Towards the last part of our sharing, we're going to discuss also what are ways that will help teachers to capacitate themselves through professional development. One of the studies now that I am conducting, particularly for my dissertation in the University of the Assumption, is looking into the predictors of research productivity. And one of the main reasons that came out is the importance of professional development for teachers and researchers for that matter. It will be used for basis of learning and development program for teachers. So because of PPST, it will be easier for the department, the central office, and higher education institution to assess and eventually to determine what are the development program needed by teachers. For example, because of the pandemic, ICT skills were actually provided to teachers, and many of them were trained to become TV broadcasters in delivering lessons. So these are part of the development program which came out from as a byproduct of PPST, so that they will be properly equipped to effectively implement the K-12 program and the sulong edukalidad of the Department of Education. This is also for the selection and promotion of teachers. So how teachers would know that he is doing well, that he needs some adjustment from his end as a teacher. So there is the mechanism that being used alongside with PPST. We have the IPCRF, no, the personal assessment and the assessment given by the school leaders to the performance of the teachers, along with the expectations based on their career track or career areas. It will also be the basis for performance appraisal of teachers, as I mentioned earlier. So all of this were actually reflected in the Department Order, DepEd Order number 42, series of 2017 on the importance, the purpose of the adoption of uh, Philippine standards for teachers, or the PPST, professional standards for teachers. So just to review, what are the 7 domains in the PPST? I highlighted the first domain, which I will elaborate. No, the first part was already discussed. No, the first strand was already discussed by Brother Broderick, if I'm not mistaken. So the first strand is on content, knowledge, and pedagogy. So this is the first quality that the teacher should have. Then the learning environment, diversity of learners, curriculum and planning, assessment and reporting, community linkages and professional engagement, and personal growth and professional development. Kaya kung titingnan yung mga kabibal, ganyan kadami yung mga anggulo na dapat hasain yung guro. Kaya hindi basta-basta yung maging guro, no? Hindi kesyo magaling ka ay pwede ka na maging guro. So lahat ng mga anggulo na yan, lahat ng mga domains na yan ay kailangang i-develop ng teacher. And particularly, I said we will focus on the first domain, content, knowledge, and pedagogy. Ano ba yung keyword dito? Teacher's mastery of the content knowledge. Kaya nga kung mapapansin nyo, ang education course, mayroon siyang basic education, mayroon siyang elementary, mayroon siyang high school. Pag sa elementary, you are, ang tawag natin sa kanila, generalist, because they should know at least all the subject area. They are actually masters of many subjects. Whereas for us secondary teachers, we have to master our field. In my case, when I was in college, I majored in religious studies, which is actually affiliated to values education. Bakit? Bakit kailangan ma-master ng teacher yung kanyang content? For a very simple philosophy, you cannot give what you don't have. Baka mamaya niyan, mas magaling pa yung estudyante mo sa'yo. Hindi nagpalitan na kayo ng role. So this assures that teachers in the field are actually experts of their own craft. That is why in senior high school, teachers were actually hired based on their competency. Okay? Sorry. So this first domain encompasses teachers' ability to apply developmentally appropriate and meaningfully pedagogy grounded on content knowledge and current research. So ito yung sinasabi ko. Malamang yung mga naging guro 20 years ago, ang dami nilang karanasan tungkol sa kagandahan ng pagtuturo, paano magdisiplina ng guro. Pero yung mga bagong guro, mayroon naman silang mga kaalaman sa mga makabagong pamamaraan ng pagtuturo na bunga ng pananaliksik, a byproduct of research. So all this content knowledge is actually encapsulated in the first domain. It takes into account that teachers' proficiency, particularly in mother tongue, Filipino, English, and in the teaching and learning process. Bakit ba mahalaga to? Alam natin na napakahalaga ng numeracy, ng literacy sa basic education, in the foundation of education. And there were studies conducted that students learned more if subjects are taught in their mother tongue. That is why the basic education have that mechanism on what certain grade level subjects supposed to be delivered using mother tongue, and then our national language, and of course the English language. There was even a study, a research conducted by the department when a particular province topped an achievement test on mathematics, when the rest were actually not performing well. When they tried to assess, napag-alaman nila na yung school, particularly na kung saan mataas yung kanilang achievement test sa mathematics, was actually teaching math in the vernacular. So ganun kahalaga yung competency when it comes to mother tongue. Of course, not everybody is experts in discussing their mother tongue, especially there are areas that are actually very hard to discuss in our local languages. Now, this is now the strand number 2 na ating pag-uusapan. So the second strand, which is research-based knowledge and principles of teaching and learning, ay nakapaloob din siya base doon sa career stages. Halimbawa, for the beginning teacher, what they are supposed to be qualified of. So beginning teacher demonstrate an understanding of research-based knowledge and principles of teaching and learning. At least maipakita niya lang na alam niya kung ano ba yung research-based knowledge. Ano yung mga mahalagang teaching and learning principles na pwede niyang gamitin sa pagtuturo. For the proficient teachers naman, these are teachers who've been in teaching profession for 1 to 3 years, no? More or less they have gained experience already. They must be able not only to know but to use research-based knowledge and principles of teaching and learning in order to enhance professional practice. No wonder that in our IPCRF, mga kabibal, even you are teacher 1 to 3, okay, one of your plus factor is to conduct research. But more so, pagdating na natin sa highly proficient teachers, that's us, no, who are supposed to collaborate with colleagues in the conduct and application of research to enrich knowledge and content on the pedagogy. So mamaya pag-uusapan lalo natin bakit ba kailangan kong gumawa ng research, ng action research o ng applied research. And for those who are actually experts, the distinguished teachers, they're supposed to lead colleagues in the advancement of the art and science of teaching based on comprehensive knowledge and of research and pedagogy. So sila na yung mangunguna, okay? So like they will be the one to organize mechanism to implement the new found knowledge or maybe strategies on discussing a particular topic. Moving forward. So, content knowledge pertains to competencies that teacher are expected to master for them to teach efficiently and effectively. Hindi lang effective, dapat efficient. Kapag alam mo, dapat alam mo kung paano mo ituro at kung gaano mo katagal siya ituturo. Because sometimes, 'di ba, aminin natin, may mga topic talaga na sobrang tuwang-tuwa tayo. Ito yung mga well-loved topic. That sometimes we have the tendency to overdwell. Pag hindi naman natin gusto yung topic, ang bilis-bilis. So we don't only teach effectively, we also teach efficiently. Kaya nga kung bubuksan natin ngayon yung ating MELC, no, yung ating enhanced competencies, nakalagay na doon ano lang ba yung mga mechanism talaga na mahalaga. Also, there. So, yung sinasabi ko kanina, sa domain 1 on the content knowledge of and pedagogy, it has 7 strands. Balik tayo doon. Medyo napa-advance tayo ng konti. Okay? So, ano ba yung number 2? Number 2, research-based knowledge and principles of teaching and learning. Hindi ko na i-discuss yung iba kasi nakikita nyo naman sa screen. Yung number 1 was already discussed, so content knowledge and how it is applied across curriculum areas. For me, I will only focus today on research-based knowledge and principles of teaching and learning na magagamit natin habang tayo ay nagtuturo ngayong pandemic. So, ano ba yung research-based knowledge? According to the DepEd order, which we actually based our study, okay? Ayan. Research-based knowledge pertains to dahan lang tayo ng konti. Medyo nauuna yung ating screen. One more. Okay. Information, knowledge, or data acquired through systematic investigation and logical study. Alam natin na ang pag-aaral, ang pagtuturo ay ano yan progressive. It is systematic and sometimes it is dynamic. May mga bagay na dati alam natin na totoo, ngayon ay hindi na pala totoo, just like the solar system. No, there are new inventions, there are new pedagogies which were discovered that is applicable to our time. So these are new knowledge based on research. Information, knowledge, or data which are actually acquired by researchers, by practitioners, by academicians through investigation and logical study. Okay, moving forward. So, when we speak of research, very briefly, according to Wambaleka, research is a scholarly activity that consists of addressing a specific problem by collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data or through scientific information of facts. So halimbawa, tayo ngayon may mga pagdadaan ng challenges in delivering instruction, like may it be printed module, may it be digital module, may it be full blast online teaching or flexible mechanism, itong mga problema na ating nararanasan, pwede nating aralin. Actually, kung mapapansin nyo, there were already studies being published. No, I saw some articles already from certain journals that already suggested, found out some good mechanism in order to be adopted by teachers. So these are research-based knowledge. Okay? So what are the characteristics of research-based knowledge? According to the same source, a research-based knowledge actually respond to a specific problem. Halimbawa, ang problema ko, nahihirapan yung mga estudyante ko sa individualized instruction. Hirap na hirap sila na walang guro. So paano ko ba ituro yung klase ko dahil nahihirapan yung mga estudyante? Yung weekly home learning plan ng DepEd, mayroong ginagawa yung mga teacher, no, yung mga kasama ko sa San Matias National High School, palagi naming pinag-uusapan sa grupo ko. Ano ba yung pwedeng ilagay doon? After you assess, no, ngayon gumagawa tayo kung ano yung naging problema, mga challenge na encounter natin. We try to identify problems encountered by student. And then gagawa tayo ng ating intervention. So these are what do you mean by addressing specific problem. Ngayon kung anong lumabas doon sa ating pag-aaral, we can actually share that to other teachers who are encountering and who are also experiencing the same problem. Next, empirical. Hindi siya pwedeng hula-hula lang. Empirical means based on experience. So kagaya ng mga ginagawa ng mga teachers sa buong Pilipinas, may it be private o public school, we ask our students, ano yung mga challenges na encounter nyo? Paano namin kayo matutulungan? I had some talks with students from city colleges of San Fernando and maybe the same experience from Cagayan State University from the class of Dr. Gilbert Magulod Jr., who were trying to assess the problems encountered by students in the delivery of instruction and then addressing that concerns. Kaya nga mayroong feedback mechanism. It's supposed to be done systematically. Mayroon siyang step-by-step process. Kaya hindi pwedeng pag nagkamali, kaagad tayong gagwelta. Hindi, aralin muna natin. Ano ba yung pinagmulan at paano natin siya ma-respond ng maayos. Okay? So it's supposed to be credible, logical, and critical. Credible means based on real facts. That's why you ask students. You also, from your end as teachers, what we do is we consult text, we consult research, we consult articles that have been conducted about that particular problem. Then logical, based on evidence. So findings are actually byproduct of a systematic analysis of the problems encountered using different analysis procedures, quantitatively and qualitatively. And supposed to be critical. Critical means careful evaluation of the data that we collect. Are they real? Are they properly gathered? Or they were just gotten from somewhere else, not reliable a source? Okay? So that is what it means by research-based knowledge. Ang tanong, bakit ba mahalaga ang research-based knowledge? In DepEd Order number 39, series of 2016, ito yung Basic Education Research Agenda, maliwanag na sinasabi ng department dyan that educational reform should be a byproduct of research. Ibig sabihin, tayong mga guro who are supposed to be expert of our fields, who experience challenges in our practice, should only use strategies based on research, no? Kaya nga halimbawa, kapag ikaw ay nagtuturo ng math, nahihirapan yung mga bata, there are different mechanism to teach math, and one of the effective way to do that is using games or gamification. I was talking to some students about how to use gamification in encouraging students and to enhancing students' competency. Also, this Basic Educational Research Agenda of the Department of Education respond to the different stakeholders of of education to parents, to teachers, to students, based on the different themes or agenda being presented on teaching and learning, child protection, human research and development, on governance, disaster risk reduction management, inclusive education, gender, and development. So lahat ng mga area na to, na mga agenda, are actually being addressed by the department. Dito din ginagawa yung mga research. At yung mga nakukuha nating mga kaalaman ay siya yung ginagamit natin at ina-apply natin sa classroom. That is why that lahat ng ating mga practices ay bunga dapat ng pag-aaral ng research. Ngayon, ano ba yung mga research-based knowledge na dapat natin matutunan? Tandaan natin na PPST and even our K-12 curriculum is byproduct also of research. When we realize that students in other countries are more likely to succeed if they're going to adopt this curriculum and they are well prepared for society and for life. So 24 K-12 program also would like to ensure the 21st century skills. These are research knowledge that students should learn and teachers should teach. So according to this source, how today's students can stay competitive in changing job market, to become responsive, may tatlong skills na dapat ituro si teacher or pag-usapan o i-collaborate with students. Ito yung learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. So ano ba yung mga learning skills? Mayroon dyan yung critical thinking skills, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Alam natin itong mga kabibal. Ang tawag natin dito, 4Cs. Okay, so kapag tayo ay nagtuturo, dapat mahalaga sa atin yung mga higher order thinking skills. O di ba mga estudyante ng City Colleges of San Fernando, alam natin yan. Yung pinakamataas na order thinking skills ng Bloom's taxonomy ay kailangan nandun. Also literary skills, lalong-lalo na ngayong pandemya, teachers and students alike should possess literacy skills like information, media, and technology. Ngayon, halos lahat na ng teachers ay marunong nang gumamit ng Zoom, marunong nang gumamit ng Google Meet, marunong nang gumamit ng Kahoot at ng ibang mekanismo in order to respond to the needs of students. But of course, along the way, we also develop from students flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social well-being. Sa madaling salita, yung 21st century skills, ito yung mga dapat matutunan ng bata para lalo siyang matuto sa kanyang pag-aaral. Okay? Pasensya na, medyo nalulubat na ako. I still have to connect this. My apologies. Okay. There you go. We're okay. Now, to proceed. Okay. Okay, there. So, another point why research is important, is that the highly proficient teachers or the master teachers are expected to conduct at least one action research related to school concerns or classroom concerns problem during the school year. So this is important because one of the key results area expected of teachers and even teacher 1 to 3 are required or are expected in order to become responsive teachers in their field. Now, having said that, let's now discuss or go to out the second part. What are the teaching principles and later on learning principles that we should know as teachers? So teaching is a complex job or complex vocation that everybody should be able to really appreciate and capacitate themselves in different ways. So the first principle that we should have is effective teaching involves acquiring relevant knowledge about student and using that knowledge to inform the course design and classroom teaching. Hindi lang sapat na alam natin yung ating tinuturo. Dapat kilala din natin yung ating mga estudyante. Kung makikita nyo sa screen, one of the model that is used in teaching is the Assure model. Using Assure model, the teacher must be able to identify first the different aptitude of student. Sino ba yung magaling sa math? Sino yung gustong sumayaw? Sinong magaling sa art? Sinong magaling sa performing arts? Para yung ituturo ni teacher ay angkop dun sa kakayahan at sa ka-preference ng bata. So that will ensure effective teaching. Kasi halimbawa, si teacher nagtuturo, yung estudyante hindi niya naman hilig yung tinuturo ni teacher, iba yung kanyang learning style, chances are hindi makikinig yung estudyante. So napakahalaga, unang principle, napakahalaga na dapat alam ng teacher yung kilala niya yung kanyang mga estudyante, yung kanilang mga preference. Kaya nga, 'di ba, yung simula ng klase napakahalaga, yung simpleng magtanong lang tayo. Will you please introduce yourself? Sabihin niyo kung ano yung gusto niyo, saan kayo magaling, bakit? Kasi magagamit ito ni teacher pagdating ng araw as he tries to deliver the instruction because it will respond to the different needs of the student. Kaya nga si master teacher at saka si principal or assistant principal na nag-o-observe kay teachers ng Assure, tinitingnan niya kung nagagamit nga, nare-respond. Ano bang ginawa ni teacher dito sa mga student na performing, sa mga students na artist, sa mga students na mahilig sa ganito. So tinitingnan niya ni principal sa nag-o-observe. Second principle that we need to imbibe is effective teaching involves aligning three major components of instruction: learning objective, assessment, and instructional activities. Naalala natin yung UBD, understanding by design. Napakahalaga na bago tayo magsimula ng klase, alam muna natin ano ba yung ini-expect natin na performance ng bata, even as we craft our weekly home learning plan before our DLL. Ano bang expected outcome natin? Kung ito yung expected outcome ko sa mga bata, at paano ko ituturo yung klase ko na maintindihan nila yung aking ituturo. Tapos, yun din yung gagamitin mong assessment. So, huwag kang maghanap sa mga estudyante, sa mga bagay na hindi mo na ituro sa kanila. Okay? O kaya na ituro mo man, ay hindi naman tumpak sa pagtuturo. Kaya isa sa mga model dyan na pinag-uusapan, I would also share is yung TPAC model. Remember the TPAC model? Dapat alam ni teacher yung content, the content knowledge. Alam niya dapat yung pedagogy, and then alam niya din yung technology. So, alam niya yung competency teacher, alam niya kung paano ituro. Tapos gumagamit siya ng makabagong teknolohiya para maituro ng maayos. So again, assessment, objective, and instructional activities or pedagogy or mechanism should be aligned in order to ensure effective teaching. Third, effective teaching involves articulating explicit expectation regarding learning objectives and policies. So, from the end naman ng estudyante, it's actually connected to number 2. Dapat malinaw sa mga bata, from the start, ano ba yung ine-expect mo sa kanila? Para alam din nila, halimbawa, in this class, you are expected to make a portfolio on the different mechanisms used in building a boat, for example. And you are supposed to use through this. Sa mga bata, alam nila kung asa na ba sila doon sa dapat nila i-accomplish. Si teacher, guided din siya kung asa na siya sa kanyang pagtuturo kasi malinaw sa kanya at sa mga estudyante kung ano yung expected sa kanila. Okay? Fourth, effective teaching involves prioritizing the knowledge and skills we choose to focus on. Si Yusek San Antonio, sinabi niya sa isa sa mga balita na siya mismo medyo napansin niya dun sa bahay na yung kasama nila sa bahay na estudyante na overwhelmed, na overwhelmed sa mga pinapagawa ng teacher. Although ito ay iba-iba yung reaction ng mga teacher. May mga teacher na pabiro nagsagot, bakit? Saan ba namin kinuha yung pinapagawa namin? Di ba galing din sa inyo? So, Studies, however, showed that online learning particularly has the tendency to saturate. No, mayroon kasi siyang saturation point. Hindi siya sustainable. Kaya nga ina-advise na dapat blended learning. No, may time na gagamit sila ng internet, may time na gagamit sila ng module lang, may time din sila magpahinga. So teachers must be able to help students prioritize. Kaya nga 'di ba si DepEd nagkaroon siya ng MELC, no, ng maximum learning competency, para alam lang kung ano lang yung mga dapat ituro sa mga estudyante, ano yun ang mga hindi dapat ituro sa mga estudyante para hindi naman sila ma-overwhelm. Number 5, effective teaching involves recognizing and overcoming expert blind spots. Ano ba yung expert blind spots? Tayong mga guro kasi dahil siguro sa katagalan na nating nagtuturo, kagaya ngayon, dire-diretso lang tayong nagtuturo. Kasi nakukonek na natin yan eh. I've been doing that for a long time. Pero tandaan natin na ang ating mga estudyante ay hindi sila kasing galing natin. Ibig sabihin, what my point is, yung kanilang intellectual capacity at ang kanilang mental framework ay ibang-iba pa sa atin. So, ang trabaho natin bilang mga guro is we help them connect, okay, the previous concept to the next concept. Yun yung pinakatrabaho natin. Yan kasi kung minsan yung blind spots natin mga guro, nakakalimutan natin. So we must always make connection, okay? From the previous lesson to the current lesson. 6, effective teaching involves adapting appropriate teaching roles to support our learning goals. Anong ibig sabihin ng adapt appropriate teaching roles? Ngayong pandemya, ang hirap ng trabaho ng guro sa totoo lang. Hindi lang tayo guro, no, marami tayong mga roles na dapat gampanan. We can be a moderator, we can be a challenger, we can be a commentator. Anong ibig sabihin nun? We can be a moderator between students and their parents, between parents and the LGUs, between the school and the parents. So itong mga role na ginagampanan ng guro in order to assure quality education. So effective teaching involves adapting appropriate roles in order to reach our learning goals. And number 7, effective teaching involves progressively refining our courses based on reflection and feedback. Paano ba natin gagamitin to? Bago pa nagsimula yung klase ng October 5, si DepEd, even in SDO Pampanga, nagkaroon na ng dry run. Siguro naman lahat ng mga division office. Doon pa lang nakita na natin kung ano yung mga modality na gagamitin natin sa bawat lugar at sa mga estudyante. At ang mga estudyante ngayon at ang mga magulang, nagkaroon din sila ng pagkakataon to give their feedback. Now, teachers, as they prepare their weekly learning, home learning plan, they are now trying to refine and redefine. Kaya nga, di ba sinasabi natin, walang perfect mechanism at this point in time. We are all actually learning. So, we are trying to help one another. Kaya napakahalaga yung ginawa ng DepEd na Bayanihan Center or Bayanihan Mechanism. Sinabi doon, kapag may nakita kayong dapat baguhin, dapat ayusin, you contact us, magtulungan tayo because that's supposed to be the spirit. Para lang yung nangyari ngayon sa Congress na at least kahit papano pagkatapos ng mahabang hindi pagkakaintindihan, nagkaintindihan na daw sila, and the main purpose is to see to it that the common good of the people of the Philippines is being properly provided. Okay. So now let's discuss the principles of learning. Kanina yung principles of teaching. Paano ba magturo ng maayos si teacher? Ito naman, paano naman natututo ang bata? So there is also there are another 7 principles. These are from Center of Teaching from Mellon University. No? Number 1, sabi, students' prior knowledge can help or hinder learning. So sa pagtuturo, palagi nating tandaan bilang mga guro, no, lalong-lalo na sa new normal, na yung previous knowledge ng bata ay malaking maitutulong yan sa pagtuturo natin ng bagong lesson. Pwede siya kasing makatulong o makasira. Kaya nga, di ba kung minsan, na napapansin natin doon sa mga lesson plan natin, palagi tayo nagsisimula sa review. The purpose is connection. Kung natandaan natin yung Dale's Cone of Experience, yung model ni Dale, sinasabi niya kasi na 'di ba sinasabi doon na ang pagkatuto ng bata at ang retention capacity ay nakadepende kung gaano kahabang kadaming senses yung ginagamit ng bata. At ito ay unti-unting nababawasan sa paglipas ng araw. Kaya ang ginagawa ni teacher, we try to connect. So palagi nating i-recognize yung kahalagahan ng previous knowledge niya. Sa senior high, may mga subject na may prerequisite even in college kasi kailangan mo yung knowledge na yun to understand this knowledge. Paano ba ito gagawin ni teacher? Ito yung mga suggested activity. So, the teacher can administer a diagnostic assessment. Pwede mo malaman, di ba? Kung titingnan nyo yung mga module, palagi tayo may pre-test. So, yun yung purpose nun. Have students assess their own prior knowledge para alam natin bago at pagkatapos ng pagtuturo natin kung may pagbabago. Experimental research yan, no? Before and after, pre-test and post-test. Second, use brainstorming to reveal prior knowledge. You could ask them, di ba mayroon tayong KWL kung minsan. Ano na bang alam ninyo? Ano yung gusto nyong malaman? Ano na yung natutunan nyo? The purpose of this again is to consider the previous knowledge. Identify discipline-specific conventions explicitly. Okay? Kung anong particular discipline nila kailangan or sila magaling. Next, ask students to make test and prediction. We are running out of time kaya medyo bilisan natin ng konti. Number 2, student motivation determines, directs, and sustains what they do to learn. Isa sa mga predictors na lumabas din sa pag-aaral ko kung gaano kahalaga yung motivation, which is actually affiliated to self-efficacy. Kapag ang isang tao kasi naniniwala ka sa sarili mo na kaya mo to, kakayanin mo talaga. So nagkakaroon ka ngayon ng lakas ng loob na harapin yung lahat ng pagsubok sa buhay. Halimbawa, napapansin natin may mga nakikita tayong post FB, may mga estudyanteng umiiyak sa harap ng laptop. May mga estudyante naman na nandun sa taas ng kahoy kumukuha ng signal, and even teachers and parents. So motivation actually determines how students learn. No, the more determined they are, the more chances that they will succeed in their learning. Okay? And how you can do this as a teacher? Connect material to students' interest. So yung mga ipapakita natin ay yung gusto niya, di ba? Kapag nagbibigay tayo ng motivation sa mga bata, pwedeng kwento, pwedeng short clip, dapat yung makaka-relate sila para makapag-connect sila, no? Provide authentic and real-world task. So yung mga ipapagawa natin sa kanila, yung magagamit nila sa totoong buhay. So pwede niyan sabihin, ay pwede ko palang magamit yung natutunan ko, no? Show relevance to students' current academic lives. So dapat nakikita nila na bakit sila nag-aaral, ano yung kinalaman nito sa kanilang buhay or magiging buhay. And of course, provide rubrics. Napakahalaga na alam ng bata kung paano niya gagawin and how he will be evaluated. Third, okay, we are down to 4, no? How students organize knowledge influence how they learn and apply what they know. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Sa dami-dami ng mga pinapagawa natin, no, aminin natin yan. Siyempre, lahat ng mga teachers, lahat ng subjects, mayroong kanya-kanyang competency expected to students. So si students dapat tutulungan ni teachers to organize knowledge that he actually accumulate from different subjects because it will influence how they will learn and apply what they know. Kasi pag nakita nila na hindi nila yun ang pakinabangan, chances are they will also dismiss that. So teachers should help the students also organize their knowledge, prioritize what is essential and what are less essential. So how should teacher do this? So ito yung ating mga tips. Provide students with organizational structure of the course. So bigay natin sa kanila, 'di ba? Sa college mayroon tayo niyang syllabus. Sa high school mayroon tayong module. We also tell them what we are expecting them to accomplish. Share organization or of its lecture, lab, discussion, so on and so forth. So ito yung mga gagawin natin for the whole quarter, for the whole semester. Make connections among concepts explicitly. Kaya nga 'di ba? Isa sa mga activity na pinapagawa natin sa kanila, we ask them to make concept maps. That's also very important. As students to, that I just mentioned that, no? Fourth, to develop mastery, students must acquire competent skills practice integrating them and apply what they have learned. So itong tatlo, napakahalaga. Competent skills, integrate the skills, and apply. So dapat magkaroon sila ng skills, yung tatlong skills na binanggit natin kanina, no? Yung literacy skills, yung life skills, at saka yung ICT skills na kailangan nilang matutunan. So to have these competent skills, they must be able to integrate. So dapat maipasok nila sa buhay at maipractice. Kasi the more na pinapractice nila, the more it will become part of them, no? It will become a second nature. To how they do this? You provide isolated practice of weak or missing skills. Kapag may nakikita ka na medyo mahina yung bata, you provide intervention, you provide remediation, and we're doing this already, teachers. Kasama din to sa ating weekly home learning plan. Give students opportunities to practice skills. Kaya dito, naalala nyo siguro nung tayo elementary pa sa math, di ba si teachers, ilang papel yung pinapasulat sa atin ng letter A, letter B. Nung nag-primary na tayo, pinasolve na tayo dun sa papel ng paulit-ulit na maraming exercises. This is the purpose of this. Give the students opportunities to apply skills or knowledge in diverse contexts. Kaya nga, napansin nyo, sa Bloom's taxonomy, ang bago, okay, the revised Bloom's taxonomy, the highest form of knowledge is creating. When the student is able to create something out of your discussion, it's actually an evidence that students indeed learn and the students are able to put them into practice. Okay? 5, goal-directed practice coupled with targeted feedback enhance the quality of students' learning. Hindi madali ang pag-aaral ngayong new normal. Maraming challenges yung estudyante, yung mga magulang, yung teachers, yung administrators, even the department, no, Department of Education and Higher Education. Kaya napakahalaga yung feedback mechanism sa students. In areas where internet is actually a challenge, for example, in our division, there are classes who would prefer, for example, printed module. Yung mga masisipag na mga guro, gumawa sila ng initiative to monitor students, no? Like for example, group chat, like text messaging, just to know kung anong mga part ng module na hirapan yung estudyante at kung paano makatulong yung mga teacher. So anong pwedeng gawin ni teacher? Be explicit about your goals in your course material. Dapat malinaw sa iyo, ito lang yung gusto ko, no? Hindi kailangan komplikado. Okay, stage assignment by breaking tasks into smaller assignments. Huwag niyong ibigla-bigla. Okay? Kung pwede nga din siguro mag-collaborate, maaaring isang assignment para na yan sa dalawang subject. I've been expressing my opinion about this, yung integrated assignment para mas makatulong sa estudyante. Look for patterns of errors in student work para mabilis natin siyang matulungan kapag na-assess na natin yung kahinaan ng estudyante. And then, let's try also to prioritize feedback, incorporate also what others say. So mahalaga din yung feedback ng kanilang mga kaklase. Second to the last, 6, students' current level of development interacts with the social, emotional, and intellectual climate of the course to impact learning. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Student is a holistic person. Student is an integral person. Ang estudyante ay hindi lang siya cognitive, no? Hindi lang siya utak, hindi lang siya knowledge. Mayroon din siyang emosyon, mayroon din siyang social skills. When all these things of development are integrated, mas madaling mag-develop yung bata. Mas madali siyang mag-succeed, no? Kaya nga sabi natin yung 21st century skills ay hindi lang 4 Cs. Kaya mayroon din life skills, no? Kasi ngayon dapat competitive ka, dapat marunong ka makipagkapwa-tao, dapat marunong ka mag-connect. Ngayon lumawak na yung ating network, no? From time to time, we've been talking already to our friends from other countries, especially in research. No, I have friends in Asia, in Europe, and even in America because of research. And all these things will enable us to reach out and to develop ourselves holistically. Paano ba gagawin to ni teacher? Make uncertainty safe. Examine your assumptions about students. model inclusive language, behavior, and attitudes, establish, reinforce ground rules for interaction. So siguraduhin natin bilang mga guro na malinaw ang mga to sa atin. How are they supposed to interact? Ano ba yung mga bagay na dapat pwede nilang gawing magkasama? Ano naman yung mga bagay na dapat sila lang? May mga post sa Facebook na mga magulang, wag nyo daw sagutan yung mga uh, module na mga anak. Ang tanong, paano natin malaman kung parents ka talagang sumasagot o hindi? Ang mahalaga dito siguro na dapat natin isipin, let's try to inculcate value. Ano ba yung pinapahalagahan ng mga magulang? Yung mataas ba na grade, yung tamang sagot ba, o yung katotohanan, yung matuto yung anak niya sa buhay? So I think that is more important than the grade, okay, than the scores. So that's one thing that we should also emphasize, the importance of behavior. Use the syllabus first day of the class to establish the course climate para lang malinaw sa bata kung ano yung dapat niyang gawin. And lastly, to become self-directed learners, students must learn to monitor and adjust their approaches to learning. So ang ibig sabihin nito, para maging self-directed, ito naging problema natin na binanggit ko, may mga estudyante na umiiyak, may mga magulang nang nagrereklamo, nahihirapan yung kanila mga anak dito sa module, sa online learning. Student must learn to monitor and adjust their approaches to learning. Dapat nagpi-feedback tayong mga guro tungkol doon sa performance ng bata, or we at least ask them, kamusta, saan ka nadalian, saan ka nahirapan, anong pwede naming gawin para matulungan ka, para mas matuto yung bata na sumagot mag-isa. Okay? Now, having said this, no, we discussed already what is PPST, what is research-based knowledge, what is principles of learning, principles of teaching. At the end, napakahalaga na si teacher din ay matuto siyang i-equip yung sarili niya. So, the challenge now for us, okay, is to develop also the 21st century professional developmental skills as teachers. As we try to capacitate ourselves, it calls for an ongoing professional development. And Janelle Cox, an MS in education, actually cited 15 ways, but I will not elaborate that already. No, how are we supposed to enhance ourselves to become responsive educators, quality educators in time of pandemic? So isa-isahin na lang natin without discussing. So teachers should be adaptable, no? Ibig sabihin dapat marunong siya mag-adjust, lalo na ngayong pandemya. Confident. Kapag confident ka, mas nakikita ng estudyante na alam mo, mas makikinig sila sa iyo, no? Mas diretso lang. Communication, dapat marunong tayong mag-communicate sa estudyante at sa ibang stakeholders para lalong maganda yung daloy ng ating pagtuturo. Team player, hindi natin kaya ito mag-isa, kaya nakita natin yung kahalagahan ng mga LGU, ng guardian, and other non-government organization. Continuous learning, we capacitate. Imaginative, we try to develop and discover new ways of doing things. Leadership, napakahalaga dito kung paano natin ipaanda rin yung ating klase and our relationship with others. Organization, innovation, no? Innovation is actually very important because we don't stick. No, we should be able to embrace new things. And like now, we should be able to be equipped more of ICT skills. Commitment, kahit anong mangyari, wag bibitaw. No? Matatapos din natin to. Maliban sa education, basically, siguro sa kabuuan, problema natin sa kalusugan. Ability to manage online reputation. Bilang mga guro, we secure the privacy of our students. Kung napansin nyo yung isa sa mga palabas ni Jessica Soho na habang sila nag-online class, may mga estudyanteng naghubad. So, teachers must be able to be confident of the online mechanism they are using so as not also to embarrass students. Ability to engage to students and other stakeholders, understand technology and its limitation, and know when to unplug. Ito, mahalaga to. No? My wife is an occupational health physician. No? Si Sashi, ay nagtatrabaho siya sa mga kumpanya at siya yung nagtumutulong sa mga kumpanya na masituit na yung kanilang mga empleyado ay maayos at ligtas. At isa sa mga naging problema nila ay halimbawa yung mga kagaya sa atin. In our case, no, araw-araw tayong nakaharap sa computer na nagkakaroon na napapagod yung mga mata natin. Mayroon tayong mayroon siyang last time, no, I shared this to yung 20-20-20 rule. Okay? Or alam din natin kung kailan tayo huminto, kailan natin i-unplug yung ating computer. Ang tawag dito ay digital detox, no? We know when to stop, we know when to rest. Otherwise, we all will become saturated. And ability to empower. So, ang mahalaga na despite of our own limitations, no, walang perfectong tao, we are still able to empower students, empower learners, empower teachers, and empower the world. Sabi nga, it takes a village to educate the child. Kaya ito ay trabaho nating lahat, magulang, guro, gobyerno, non-government organizations, lahat tayo. At the end of the day, our purpose is to provide a quality, relevant, and responsive education. Sabi nga ng mga Lasaliano, no, I used to be in Lasal for quite some time. The purpose of education is to teach minds, to touch hearts, and transform lives. So that at the end of the day, we do what we are expected to do to bring the best from everyone, from all students entrusted to our care. For Don Bosco would always remind us what your students love and they will love what you love. So once again, mga kabibal, maraming salamat. Magandang hapon, Bibal Publication. Thank you for inviting me in always, and I hope kahit papano I was able to share something from you. My contact number is on the screen. If you have some queries, you could actually contact me. I am Mr. Leonilo Bicapolso, a master teacher from San Matias National High School, Isdio, Pampanga in Region 3. So magandang hapon ulit mga kabibal. Ingat kayo palagi. Sana ligtas lang tayo. Once again, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Sir Leonilo. Now we'll proceed po with the question and answer po. So the first one po is from Miss Maricar Dizon. Applicable pa po ba yung mga domain at TLOC sa pag-observe ng mga principals ngayong blended learning po tayo? May online class, may modular modalities po.
Okay. Ma'am, unang-una sa lahat, dapat nating tandaan na ang PPST ay hindi lang siya purely for evaluation purposes. PPST is actually standards expected of us as teachers. Yung tanong ni ma'am, actually valid naman yun kasi yung PPST ay siya yung naging basihan ng IPCRF, no? Kasi doon binabase kung paano ba ina-assess kung gaano kagaling si teachers. But now we are all in tawag natin emerging paradigm in educational system. Kung ang mga estudyante nga, 'di ba, nagbago tayo sa paraan ng pag-assess sa mga bata. The way teachers will be assessed, I suppose will also be revised. But the quality of education, the quality of teachers we are expected to be ay hindi magbabago. Online man o hindi, yung PPST will always be there. Like for example, content knowledge. Content knowledge now, when we speak of content knowledge, particularly on research, teaching and learning principles are there. Ano lang yung dinagdag natin? Yung content knowledge about ICT. So dapat maalam din tayo tungkol sa mga competencies when it comes to information and communication technology, and even on the manipulation of technology, no, of tools that we need to use to give our learning environment and learning experience to our students. So I think it's still there. It still works. Siguro lang kung paano tayo i-evaluate. Just like now, di ba, everything is becoming online in the Department of Education. But as far as standards are concerned, standards should always be there. Maybe for enhancement. Ma'am.
Thank you po. And the next one po is from Mr. Prince Dave R. Lianeza. Sir, can we modify the learning competency prescribed by DepEd in order to level it up to our students' capabilities, if necessary?
Okay. Tandaan natin yung MELC na mayroon tayo ngayon, di ba? Malinaw sa DepEd memorandum bakit nagkaroon ng MELC. The MELC were actually, kung babalikan natin yung ating discussion a while ago, teachers has the right to assess the students' competencies, the student capacities based on the students' aptitude. Yung binigay ni DepEd na MELC is only the minimum requirements. Okay, at least yun muna. kasi baka hindi matapos. However, si teacher, like even private schools, they are actually empowered to add if they want, pero hindi na pwedeng bawasan. So, yes sir, tama po kayo. We could, halimbawa, feeling mo yung competency sa subject, I'm handling practical research and UCSP, understanding culture and politics, no? Kapag nakikita mo na medyo mababa at kita mo naman yung mga estudyante mo ay kaya nila, then go ahead, you could add competency. Kaya nga 'di ba doon sa Assure model, sinabi ko kanina, na si teacher dapat maalam siya sa pag-alam kung anong competency o anong aptitude yung kanya mga estudyante kasi tandaan natin na pupwedeng maburyo, pupwedeng maboard yung mga medyo umaangat na estudyante kapag mababa yung competency na binibigay natin. Again, it is a judgment call for teachers. And as experts, alam natin kung kailan natin yun gagawin. Ma'am?
Thank you so much po. And our last question is from Miss Celsius Wanchon. I have a question to our speaker po. Do you think research in education is a positivist or constructivist? Some research prescribe, some don't. That's why I'm asking. Thank you po.
Okay. Research basically, as far as we are concerned in education, is generic when it comes to how it's supposed to affect education. The basic education research agenda is there to be able to generate new knowledge, to enhance education. Kaya nga sinasabi ng Vera na um, the educational reforms supposed to be a byproduct of research. However, how research supposed to be conducted on the same depth and order, research can be conducted to qualitatively, which is sometimes positivist or sometimes based on the personal point of view of your participants. Of course, sometimes research could be a basic research, the purpose of which is only to add new knowledge to the quality of knowledge. So I think the kind of research that being produced in education and that can be produced will also depend on the need of the researcher, of the teacher. As researchers, we know that research starts with a problem. I think the kind of research that we use, that we employ, depends on the need of our particular locality. So if I have a particular problem inside my class, then I need to do action research in such a way that I will respond to the problem. But if my purpose is only to generate knowledge in order to add to the previous knowledge, then maybe I can do applied research or basic research for that matter. Ma'am,
Thank you very much po, sir. That's all the questions that we have for now.
thank
Any
you.
last reminders po to our viewers for today?
Okay. Once again, thank you very much, Bibal. Thank you very much, Kabibal, for being with me this afternoon. So tandaan natin na sabi nga ni Mackenzie, the quality of education cannot surpass the quality of teachers. Na nasa ang kalidad ng edukasyon na ibibigay natin sa ating mga estudyante, may pandemya man o wala, ay nakasalalay sa klase ng guro na mayroon tayo. And that is why I encourage everyone, as we encourage myself also, to continue to learn new skills in trying to adapt 21st century professional skills so that we will continue to provide relevant, quality, and responsive education. And let's try to help one another. Let's try to build the Department of Education and higher education because all of this needs our help and support so that at the end of the day, we will become the best persons we expect to be just like our students, to become responsible citizens of this country. Thank you, ma'am, for that.
There we have it. In behalf of Ibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank you, Sir Leonilo, for being our speaker this afternoon for this insightful learning session. It is truly an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kabibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. We encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Bibal Facebook page and YouTube channel. Muli maraming salamat at magandang araw sa atin.